We're talking about strategic intent in the strategic planning process and specifically about core values. We've defined core values. We've talked about uh, how we go about defining core values, how we go about identifying core values, what are the criteria for core values. And now, once, let's say, we've established our company core values, and this is where a lot of companies get stuck. They go to great pain. They put a lot of time into defining their core values, and then they get hidden. They get put away someplace, never to be seen again, which is very unfortunate because these core values are so important in a number of different ways. Let's talk about that. First of all, I want to share with you. I was on a Southwest airline flight recently and I was reminded of their core values. I remember seeing an article about this. Southwest Airlines, their core values: fun loving, warrior spirit, servant heart. I love that. Fun loving, warrior spirit, servant heart. I can just picture, the typical Southwest airline employee, whether it's a gate agent, it's a flight attendant, it's someone working in maintenance for Southwest, and how they believe in those three things: fun loving, warrior spirit, servant heart. So what are good ways to use core values going forward? How do we keep them alive, so to speak? Well, one of the most popular ways, I think, is in the hiring process. If I'm making a hiring decision, what better way to make that decision than to ask myself, to what degree is this candidate, this prospect, aligned with our core values? And what I suggest to my clients is, let's just say we have 5 core values, our company, that to make a hiring decision, the candidate must be completely aligned on 3 of the 5 core values. Completely aligned. Some degree aligned with a 4th core value, and a neutral on a 5th. So using my core values, they could be very family oriented. They could be highly competitive. They could be very healthy minded. They may, the 4th core value that I identified last time was about being growth minded. And okay, they like to read to some degree, they're growth minded. And then the 5th that I identified last time was about adventure. And maybe this particular individual, not so adventuresome, but boy, they were totally aligned with the first 3, good on the 4th. I'm okay hiring this individual. Because in most cases, that's as good as it's going to get. So number 1, we want to use these core values for hiring purposes. Second, if your company employs some type of performance evaluation every 6 months, every 12 months, I think it's a great idea to use the core values in that performance evaluation, because we hired this individual based on these core values. Now the question is he or she continuing to demonstrate these core values? Are they still growth minded? Are they reading? Are they attending classes? Are they still highly competitive? Are they still treating other employees as if they were family members? So I would use these in performance reviews. I would also, in addition to using these core values in choosing employees, I would also use these same core values in choosing vendors and strategic partners, even customers. Because if you think about your best customers, more than likely they share, to a large degree, your company's core values. I would also employ these core values when I'm onboarding new employees, reminding each of them what our core values are, giving them examples, reinforcing the core values. I would also, when I am either praising or reprimanding an employee, look for this as an opportunity to utilize our core values. I might see an employee really work hard to bring in a new contract to outcompete our competitors. I might say, John, great example of our core value around competition. Boy, did you do that in this occasion. Or maybe reprimanding an employee. Uh, Maybe I find that they have disrespected another employee, a fellow employee, and I'd say that's not how we would treat a family member, is it? So again, using these core values and either praising employees or reprimanding. And then finally, maybe the most important way that I find companies utilizing core values, and that is in making important decisions. In fact, in my coaching practice, oftentimes with owners and CEOs, when they're facing a difficult decision, I'll pose this question. I'll say, Tim, how does this decision align with your company core values? How does this decision align with company core values? I had one of my clients, and he talked often about the importance of family. Family was definitely one of his and his company's core values. And he was looking to make an acquisition. His business was here in Atlanta. He was going to acquire a company in Nashville, Tennessee. And it was a great opportunity. Everything was good. The value of the company, a good fit with his company. The numbers were right. And I asked my client, I said, okay, so this acquisition looks great. How often, if you do this acquisition, how often will you need to travel to Nashville? He responded, every week. He said, once we do this deal, I'll have to go to Nashville every week to oversee, the combining of the two companies and making sure that everyone gets off to a good start. Every week I'll be in Nashville. And I followed up my first question with the next question, which was, what impact will this have on your family if you're gone every week? My client thought for a second, kind of slapped himself and said, I knew you were going to ask that. It's going to have a terrible effect on family, on my relationship with my wife and my kids. I'll miss the ball games, school time, dinners out with my wife. Terrible impact on family. Long story short, he decided not to do that acquisition as a result of the conflict it had with one of his core values. So these are just a number of ways that we use core values on a regular basis, and that's very important that we're always looking for opportunities to reinforce our core values. I'll have some final thoughts on core values when we come back for our next